With the poverty levels in the 1970s, the states that have shown the most significant decline in poverty are Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Haryana, Gujarat, West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala. The decline in poverty in Punjab and Haryana was driven by high agricultural growth rates after the Green Revolution in India. In West Bengal, the decline in poverty is associated with land reforms that aimed to improve the condition of small farmers and agricultural workers. In the states of Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, a well-implemented public distribution system of food grains is the likely cause of the decline in poverty. Kerala has the highest literacy rate in India for both its male and female population. This focus on education and training and development of human resources has led to the decline in poverty in Kerala. Thus, we see that a high agricultural growth rate, land reforms, good public distribution system, and focus on education and training are some of the ways that poverty has been successfully reduced in India. Poverty is a global problem. However, its severity is different in different regions of the world. In this module, we will discuss comparative poverty ratios in different parts of the world with reference to the World Bank Standard of Poverty that includes all people living under $1 per person per day. As per the World Bank Standard, the poverty ratio or percentage of population living below the poverty line in developing countries has come down from 28% in 1990 to 21% in 2001. The graph here shows the change in the percentage of people living under $1 a day in different regions of the world. As you can see, poverty has declined in most regions of the world like China, East Asia and Pacific, South Asia, Latin America, and the Caribbean. However, the decline in poverty has been more rapid in some regions than others. For example, poverty in China and East Asia and Pacific regions has declined more rapidly than in South Asia. The rapid decline in poverty in China, East Asia and Pacific is associated with rapid economic growth and huge investments in human resource development in these regions. This economic growth was not matched by South Asian countries, and therefore, the decline in poverty has not been so rapid there. The situation is very different in sub-Saharan Africa, where the poverty ratio has actually risen from 41% in 1981 to 46% in 2001. Poverty has reappeared in some former socialist countries like Russia, where officially there was no poverty before. This graph shows the actual number of people in millions living under $1 per day in different regions of the world. The number of people living in poverty in China came down from 606 million in 1981 to 212 million in 2001. In comparison, the decrease in the number of people living in poverty in South Asia was marginal, from 475 million in 1981 to 428 million in 2001. Here is another graph showing the comparison of poverty ratios of a few countries based on the World Bank Standard of Poverty. Note that the poverty ratio for India, as per the World Bank standard, appears higher than our national estimate of 26%, which is based on the Indian government's definition of the poverty line. Global leaders expressed their commitment to reduce poverty in the United Nations Millennium Summit held in September 2002. Leaders from 189 countries signed a declaration pledging to reduce the number of people living below $1 a day to half of its 1990 figure by 2015. As per our national estimates, 26% of the population in India lives in poverty. Applying the World Bank standard, this figure goes up to around 35%. These figures are quite high considering the huge population of India. This brings us to the question, what are the main causes of poverty in India? During the colonial rule, the British suppressed local Indian handicrafts and industries. This led to a low economic growth and spread poverty in India. The slow economic growth, in combination with scarcity of jobs and population explosion in India, further worsened the poverty situation. Post-independence, the Green Revolution and the Industrial Revolution created many job opportunities in India. However, these were not enough to provide employment to all job seekers. Thus, unemployment also contributed to poverty in India. The people migrating from villages to cities in search of better employment usually got engaged in jobs of casual labor. People with such irregular, low-paying jobs could not afford a decent living, and thus poverty spread to urban areas too. Despite many government policies like land reforms, there is unequal distribution of resources in our society. A small number of wealthy people have control over large shares of resources, while a large number of people who have fewer resources live in poverty. Poor people often need to borrow money for marriages and religious ceremonies. Small farmers take loans to buy seeds and fertilizers every cropping season. This debt is usually taken from money lenders at high rates of interest and is a major reason for poverty in rural areas. Thus, the main causes of poverty in India are low economic growth during the colonial rule, population explosion, lack of job opportunities, irregular low-paying employment, inequitable distribution of resources, and indebtedness. Anti-poverty measures taken by the Indian government are based on two main objectives: increasing economic growth in the country and launching anti-poverty programs for specific groups of people. Economic growth provides more resources and opportunities for human resource development like education, training, and healthcare. All this results in reduction of poverty. This graph clearly shows the link between the increase in the growth rate of the economy and the decrease in the poverty ratio in India. However, economic growth plays only a limited role in the reduction of poverty. This is because the benefits of economic growth do not reach the poor directly. As a result, the growth in the agricultural sector, which employs the largest number of people in India, has been much below expectation. The Government of India has launched several anti-poverty programs for specific groups of people. Let us learn more about some of them aimed at reducing rural poverty. A lasting solution to poverty is to enable the poor to become self-reliant. This is why several government schemes like the Prime Minister Rozgar Yojana, Rural Employment Guarantee Program, and Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarozgar Yojana are aimed at generating self-employment opportunities in rural areas. The Prime Minister Rozgar Yojana was launched in 1993 to create self-employment opportunities for educated, unemployed youths in rural areas and small towns. This program assists such people in setting up small industries and business. The Rural Employment Guarantee Program, launched in 1995, also aims to generate self-employment opportunities in rural areas and small towns. The Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarozgar Yojana, started in 1999, aims at organizing poor families into self-help groups and providing them bank loans and government subsidies to start small businesses and industries. The Antyodaya Anna Yojana was started in 2000 to provide food grains to poor families at subsidized rates. This scheme provides 35 kilograms of wheat or rice per month to families living below the poverty line through the public distribution system. The National Food for Work program was launched in 2004 in the 150 most backward districts of the country. This program provides employment to all unskilled people willing to do manual labor in return for wages in the form of food grains. The National Rural Employment Guarantee Act was passed in 2005. This act provides assured employment of 100 days per year to every household in rural areas. 1/3 of these jobs are reserved for women. A person not provided employment within 15 days of registering under the National Rural Employment Guarantee Act is entitled to a daily unemployment allowance. The central and state governments have set up national and state employment guarantee funds for this purpose. Though the anti-poverty programs have benefited many, the overlapping of schemes and poor monitoring and implementation have prevented the benefits from reaching all the deserving poor. The traditional definition associates poverty only with the lack of income, food or clothing. This definition is now changing. Today, social scientists talk of human poverty that extends beyond the traditional definition of poverty to include lack of housing, education, healthcare, job security, and lack of equal opportunities or dignity due to discrimination based on caste, color, or gender. Providing minimum necessary income is comparatively easy. However, providing education, healthcare, job security, equal opportunities, and dignity for the poor are the major challenges in the way of eradication of human poverty. India's future in combating poverty appears bright. Rising economic growth, falling population growth rate, radical schemes for free elementary education for all, and empowerment of women and the weaker sections of society should result in an appreciable reduction of poverty in the years to come.